Shame on you, we're in a bookstore. Speaking of which, had I known that you could fit so many people in a bookstore, I would never have agreed to do this. Hi. That was incredibly well rehearsed. Normally it's like this jumbled response you can't understand, but that was perfectly synchronized.
You gave us 20 minutes to practice.
Hi.
Hi.
You did practice.
Hi.
She was late.
I missed her usually. Hi.
This may well be my only in-person signing. So I want to fill the entire experience with awkward silences. I know you've been waiting for some time, and I want you to realize it wasn't worth it. I want to share something with you. I was on the plane today, coming here. Oh, hi. Hi, guys. And the guy right across from me on the plane kept doing this.
Thank you for doing that to us.
And so I wanted to share the love.
Thank you for spreading that
I
love.
couldn't believe it was happening. I have been tested every single day of the last week, so I know I don't have COVID and I can make that joke, but please don't make it in return. Do you want to stand up here and do that? Yeah, please do. In case there's someone else who can't hear me. Thank you. I don't know. What do we want to talk about? I didn't prepare at all. I'm super tired. And I didn't even bring my book. I was supposed to do a reading, and as I was walking in, I was like, I don't even have the book. Okay, thanks. It's wrinkled. It's a precious thing. I can't believe it's wrinkled. Okay. It does have an unwrinkled one, so how does this work? I can tell you one thing. So I actually am very comfortable in front of crowds. Because I've already embarrassed myself so much that there's nothing I can do that will make it worse. But the one thing that I've noticed in the past is when people are like, hey, recite a poem, well, there's two things that make me nervous. Officiating wedding ceremonies. I suck at that. Like, this is important and people's lives are going to change because of this, and then I get really nervous and I stammer, and like I am now, and it doesn't work well. So please don't ask me. I'm not going to do it. But also reading my poetry, I get really nervous.
We're all friends here.
No, we're not. I'm looking out at mostly strangers. Does anyone want me to read a poem?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which one? Murder? I don't remember that one. Any of the beats? Amila Beats. Can you find that for me? I'm useless.
Page 7.
Thank you. This is like how to do a poetry reading lessons. A meal of beets. Last night we ate beets, raw and warm with rice and greens, an avocado, and a broken head of garlic in a wooden bowl between us. Our faces lit by a drooping, half-melted candle. You said eating like this reminded you of our summer in Washington. All the vegetables, slow and nowhere to go. Then, from your office, you brought a note, one of those torn half-sheets that you write me on planes from time to time. You dropped the folded page beside my plate, pinked with beets and a few grains of scattered rice. I leaned in toward the candle across our table to your adoring eyes and read these words, written while you were crying at a window seat. Now, after 17 years, 4 cities, shared partners, pregnancy scares, and so many things that add up to 2 lives already lived. Reading your note at our table, in my voice, I heard you were ready to accept my love, which of course changes everything. Maybe 2 more.
Reread. Murder. Reread on 43.
Reread. Yesterday, I so remember this experience, by the way. It was like a throwback to college when I went to the library and got a book and then, reread. Yesterday I read a used book whose previous readers had inexhaustible supplies of red and yellow ink. Whole chapters highlighted, paragraphs double underlined in straight red rows. And I imagined my young 4-reader hunched late at a shared table in the Portland State Library, hiding a cold, surreptitious coffee between his legs, reading lines like, "Be the running, not the runner," and uncapping his red pen yet again, thinking, yes, that's it. I am the running. Do you all notice how poets have like a poet dialect?
Like a cadence. Yeah. Like a special cadence.
And I'm trying not to do that. And I'm noticing, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm doing that. Why am I doing that?
I wonder if the science was taught.
No.
Flavor.
Can you just snap your fingers when I start doing poetry dialect? It's like this weird lilting thing that no one does when they talk about anything else. One more.
These hours. 71. The color of blue. The MP. These hours. Random page.
Random day.
Flip it to a random page. Your favorite color.
Random page was the right answer.
What's your favorite? Oh yeah.
What's my? I don't have. That's not true. I do have favorites, but I'm not going to share them. Random page is Eugenia. In my yard, there's a kind of plant growing. Thank you. It was an honest snap. In my yard, there's a plant growing. Along the fence, it's called a Eugenia. And I want it to be a hedge, that blocks the lights of the liquor store. But my Eugenia has grown to be a hedge-like tree with thick trunks and high branches that But my Eugenia has grown to be a hedge-like tree with thick branches. I don't know. If I do a Brooklyn accent, save me from this. Okay, but my Eugenia has grown to be a hedge-like tree with thick trunks and high branches that nod in breezes, and I can see the bright neon all night long. Then this summer, the bark began to bald, with leaves wrinkled, pocked, and reddish, so a plant specialist, an enthusiast, came to advise. A mite has invaded California, she told me. We're seeing this on Eugenia all over. Don't worry, we've introduced a wasp, and the wasp will eat the mites, but if you want this to stay a hedge, you've got to cut the leaders off the top there. You see, your Eugenia wants to be a tree. And I told her, I want it to be a hedge. I only wish I knew what I want me to be. Thanks for your charity. I knew you should have been snapping a lot of time. I don't know why I wrote this book. I don't know why I'm promoting it so hard. It's no one gets rich off poetry. It's just about this weird compulsion to kind of put this thing that feels like it's a catalog of the last 20 years of my life in a weird emotional capsule out in the world. And I think there's something cathartic for me in just putting it out there. And so I appreciate you collectively being my therapist, and just letting me release this, unleash this. I was going to use the word virus, but I won't. In the world, it for me, I don't know what it was, but I just felt like it had been basically sitting on the hard drive of my computer for some time, and I just thought I just want it not there only. I want other people to have to deal with this. So thank you. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for your kindness and just absorbing this, and for tolerating this poetry reading training session. Thank you. Am I just sitting in the throne here? Well, okay, great. Do you want questions? Oh. No questions. Yes, I will take questions. And I reserve the right to refuse questions. Yes. Yes. Hi.
Over what length of time did you write this? All the poems? Like years? Months?
I wrote these poems over the course of one long morning.
Smart.
Thank you.
What is your culling strategy when you look at all the poems you've written? How do you pick them?
What is my culling strategy?
Yes.
It's simply the cringe test. It's like, I mean, and by the way, I like rereading things now. I'm like, hey, how did that pass the cringe test? But I mean, it was longer than it is now.
Waiting
Yeah.
for volume 2.
Wait away. Yes.
I know you're not going to answer it, but I'm going to be annoying and
describe which ones do you pass as perspective?
Yes, no.
Ah!
Hi. When will we see volume 2? No. Yes. Yes.
Is this your first ever poem? Poetry book?
Wait. More than one person thought I was calling on them. In the very back of the room. Abby, I can't hear a word you're saying. Can you please get a microphone? Don't take your mask off. Yes. Okay.
Seems like you've learned a lot of lessons throughout the book. Have you learned any lessons since release?
How long have you been writing this question? Since I think I didn't learn lessons writing the book, so you're wrong. But I did change, and the first poem I wrote was about did I miss out on not having kids? I was kind of a kid when I started writing poems. And the last poem in the book is about I just want to hold on to my kid's childhood. It's a very different person writing those poems. But I can say this, there was a little bit of this is maybe just about the artistic journey, and I use that term very loosely. But when I first started writing poems, I was just writing poems as almost a meditation for myself. And then I wrote a bunch of poems, and I was like, I like my poems, which is because I'm full of myself. And I sent them to a few literary journals, and then they published them. And I was like, oh my God, it was to be honest with you, and please don't tell Warner Brothers, but when I got my poems published, it was so much more exciting for me than when I got on Supernatural. And I just felt like it was such a validation of some weird part of myself. And then I got really self-conscious after they were published, because I started writing poems but thinking what if someone reads this someday, which I hadn't been thinking before. And so it took me a really long time to get over that. And I think the thing that has changed for me is this, or maybe the thing I've learned, is that I don't so much care what people think anymore. Weirdly, putting my book out is actually more for me than for anyone else. And I was writing for myself in the beginning, so maybe the answer to your question is that I've learned nothing. I just came back to the beginning, which is, it's all about me. Okay, one more. Who was the person that thought I was calling on them? That's who I want to talk to. Come back. I just didn't see your hand before. That's all. Can a friend speak for her?
You had to choose between government, poetry, or acting. What would you?
If I had to choose between government, poetry, or acting, acting. What would I choose? At this very moment, I would say I think they're probably all intertwined. There's not a politician who's not an actor, and there's not a good politician who's not a poet, and there's not a good poet who's not good at acting.
Well, this is awkward.
So the main event is here. I'm going to explain how the